value, to figure out who do we want to work with, because we can't work with everybody. We don't want to work with everybody. We want to figure out who are the people that I really connect with, and I can be as authentic as I need to be and provide value. And I would think that as a comedian, particularly at that key decision point where you were talking about a couple years ago with getting laid off with ABC, you had to make some decisions about where your career goes moving forward. Do I try and reinvent myself? Do I find another avenue to be authentic and just go with what I've got and bring that to a different audience? So what were the decisions you had to make at that point?
So I'll take you to a year before that in my career. I had worked for many years at The View. I worked there with Barbara Walters when it was more of an entertainment show. And it has become a comedic version of Meet the Press, or Meet the Press with punchlines. I very much believe in the mission of the show. It's smart women talking about their political opinions, and it's not a secret, but I generally, I don't always agree with the opinions, but I love that they express them. I enjoy the environment. The environment was groundbreaking, and I still believe it is important. I then started finally making money. Good Morning America added an audience right before when The View aired. So I would work from 7 to 9 o'clock in the morning at Good Morning America for paycheck number one. And then I would rush up to 66th Street from 44th Street to 66th Street. It's a mile. And then I would rush up to 66th Street to work at The View from 11 to 12. And then at one point, so I was making 2 paychecks. I had a year of finally making money. I actually got my first financial investor or person that year. Like, I finally had enough money to, I knew this is a good year. We need to put this in the bank or somewhere smarter than the bank. Anyway, then Good Morning America added a 3rd hour to the show, and I was basically given a choice of, I can make 2 paychecks at Good Morning America where they don't know if they need a comedian all the time, or I can make 1 paycheck at The View, where I had been for a while and I felt I hit my creative ceiling. And I got 2 very conflicting pieces of advice. Years ago, a man named Bill Getty, who was executive producer and creator of The View, had a line that if you can't make a decision, follow the money. At least then you know why you made that choice. Completely contradictory to that advice was a man whose name I'm blacking out on. He worked with Gelman. He helped bring the Regis Philbin program to syndication. And this is going to drive me nuts. He wore loud jackets, big guy, looked just like this guy, Bill Getty, but 20 years older. And his line was, Tom, I can't tell you how many TV news people I've seen over the years leave somewhere where they are loved to go somewhere bigger, only to wish they never left. And that's the 2. And I decided to follow the money. Was that the right call? I don't know. So I guess when you get into what motivates me for reinventing my career, I am an artist who will give up being an artist for the first damn paycheck. And that's like, listen, I grew up, I am very blessed. No, I mean, I maybe, no, and I will sell out to the lowest damn bidder. Okay. Listen, if the 2 of you,
That's not, I think that's not as uncommon as.
No, but it's not but it is uncommon for a comedian to admit that. All right.
Oh yeah. It's no one says it.
Listen, if you offered me, I have a price tag. I have a price tag, and the price tag is actually dropping. My sellout price is $2,500 an hour. It sounds crazy, but they're a friend of mine who you guys should hire if you ever have a event. A man named Pat Tully was doing these charity auctions for high-end black tie kind of things, right? And he hired me to sub in for him. And I'm like, I don't feel comfortable raising money for charity. And he said, well, Tom, it pays $2,500 an hour. And I said, okay, where do you need me to be? Okay. And it's funny. And I hate the work. It's a lot of pressure. You're squeezing people for money you don't know if they have. You have to be funny, but you have to be so politically correct that you don't offend the people in the room. Blah, blah, blah. I hate the work, but for $2,500 an hour, I am there. Same thing. He then offered me another one a few weeks later for $2,000 for the hour. And for some reason, it just didn't feel good. You know? So anyway, but a lot of comedians, a lot of artists, like a true artist doesn't have a sellout point. A true artist just does the damn jokes wherever the hell it is. I'll do the damn. So as my financial offers become limited, I have become more of an artist. You know,
well, there's a positive to it.
Yeah. And listen, and the other thought, listen, you talk about making decisions. First decision when your career is destroyed is you have to keep moving. Have you guys read the book U Squared?
No.
Okay. I talk about it a lot on the Tom Kelly Show podcast. It is written by a guy, Price Pritchett. I think he has a Texas accent. I think you'd like him. Price Pritchett. It's a $5 self-help book that everybody within the sound of my voice should go out and buy right now. I make no money on it. And the concept of the book is about just moving and exploring. And it tells a story about a fly. And this fly keeps trying to bang through a glass wall, okay? And this fly wastes whatever few precious remaining minutes of life it has trying to break through this glass window. And the fly could have made it outside if only it had gone back a little bit further, flown around, and it would have found the open door just a few feet away. And then the rest of the book is all like little stories like that. And there you go. So you have to make a decision. And if anybody here, you're listening to this podcast, listen, if you are coming to Sean and Sanger for advice, your life is a mess. We know that. You're screwed. Something's gone horribly wrong that you're here. And to that, I say, if I were going to give you one or two pieces of advice, one, go subscribe to my podcast right now. And then two, keep moving, not moving away from this show. You're learning things about making decisions here. But the one decision you have to make is to not sit on your ass.
No, I think that's
important
solid.
Important to do something. A lot of times people get knocked down and they're struggling to make choices. Oh, I don't know what to do. I don't know. And we're looking for the absolute perfect, best, right choice. And sometimes there isn't one. Sometimes it's a whole lot of bad choices. And if we just pick one, we can find a path to getting something better.
Well, yeah. And I don't like that example at all, Sanger. I think that was awful. And I'll tell you why. Because sometimes there are bad choices and you don't do the bad choice that, like maybe you do option, like there's always a D, and sometimes the D isn't take action, but it's not sit still either. Does that make sense? Like, I mean, like if you guys, you're doing financial advice, if right now stock market's at an all-time high, whatever. And, the advice, like, right. You guys do stocks when you're not doing podcasts, right? To make in simplicity terms. Yeah. So, you may not buy 1 million shares of Tesla all across the board. You may dollar cost average instead.
Yeah.
But you're moving. Yeah. But so sometimes the answer isn't always to do A, B, C, or D. Maybe it's just find your own E, or just think and move and make commitments to who you are and go slow, but do go.
Well, I hear what you're saying. Sometimes the available choices that we have are mostly bad. And a lot of times people can freeze themselves into a point of permanent or indefinite indecision because they can't find an option that is appealing. And sometimes in life, the options that are available to us are going to just suck. And that's where we've got to recognize, okay, you know what? I don't have any great options, but if I do something, if I make some plan, if I get up off the couch, then maybe I can find something better. You said something that really was interesting to me earlier about how, to bring it back to authenticity, you felt like the work that you were doing was sometimes not as authentic as it could be, and talking about how you're willing to take a paycheck to be inauthentic. it, I don't know, and I'm not necessarily convinced that that's purely bad. um, it's not bad unless authenticity is something that is important. To be inauthentic, um, for someone who doesn't care about authenticity, and that allows them to pursue values or goals that are more important to them, I would say that's fine. There are going to be jobs and roles and times in our life where being authentic is probably not good, not only financially, but maybe even morally, maybe even socially.
Okay. I think to the point I just made, or to your point about my point, I think when I was at the top of the show saying I was being inauthentic doing warm-up work, I wasn't necessarily being inauthentic, but I was being authentic to only part of myself. When I tell a joke, yeah, God, who'd have thought you would floor me with that one, man? Yeah, I think listen, there's also like completely being inauthentic. I think, listen, you guys are in finance. You are about making people's lives, families, and businesses grow financially, right? Would you,
Yes.
now that's being, now, would you then take money from a mob member? I don't know.
No, of course not.
Well, okay, you said it quick. I know other people who
Well,
go
I'll
slower.
give you an example, Tom. So years ago, I had a manager that was trying to get us to promote some product, and I just couldn't get on board with it. And it came again. He said, "You got to work on sales, and you got to sell them this, and ask them this question, and you'll box them into this right answer where they have to buy this this insurance or this annuity or whatever it was." And I came to a point in my career where I'm just like, I can't do that. I just can't be that inauthentic to kind of go with that. And what I found was when I started providing advice to people to say, no, you shouldn't do that. You don't need to buy this. In fact, no, don't invest the money with me. You need to take it and do this other thing. Um, I was starting to get reactions from people. They're like, "Oh, well, that's not what I thought you would say." Or we talked about this before we came to this meeting. We thought you would tell us to don't pay off the mortgage, invest the money with me. And I told them just the opposite. And I think when I started getting more authentic as a financial advisor, I started getting more connectivity with, connections with my clients, started getting more referrals, the business started going better. It was just the opposite of what this manager was telling me early on, which was, no, just, do this, sell them this. I don't care if you believe it, just sell them that.
Yeah,
And it was such
I've I've
BS.
I've felt the same thing. Like I have believed strongly in the power of authenticity, especially in a relationship building role. Right? How can I have an authentic relationship with someone? How can I have trust with someone if I'm not authentically representing myself, my points of view, my opinions, and my advice? Um, I guess I want to clarify something because it seems like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth. I think that there are going to be jobs that don't allow you to be authentic. You've got to put food on the table, and your job happens to be the morning show host. You're not going to be able to say exactly
Well,
what you want all.
So I've been blessed. Listen, I've been authentic. I've been blessed enough, even into moments where I've been quote unquote inauthentic, I've been able to be authentic. But would I do a commercial for, I don't know, pick an awful product, a 1983 Yugo? I don't know, pick the worst product. There you go. And now I would argue I would as a sellout, but let's go the other way. Would I do a Will Smith movie? God, it's so easy to say I would not do a Will Smith movie. I'll never work with him after he punched a guy at the Oscars. Well, you want to know why I can say that is? Because there was never a chance of that happening, and that's why he got that standing ovation. And so there you go. That, I think, might have been an inauthentic moment. All these people who were swayed by his speech. Listen, some people had to like him. The speech was great. Maybe they thought it was fake. Maybe they thought it was him showing something off. I don't know. But I do